live in St. Paul, Minnesota, and if you can have a comfortable lead in gymnastics, 16-year-old Jordyn Wieber has it, leading the field heading into tonight when she could become champion of the United States for the first time. But guess what? She is not the one everyone is talking about. The road to Olympic history in London begins tonight. For Shawn Johnson, Chelsea Memel, and Alicia Sacramone, it means trying to earn a do-over. It's been 3 years since the Beijing Olympics, and for Alicia Sacramone, the memory weighs heavily.
On the balance beam, that's where everything went wrong. The Chinese and the U.S. were battling neck and neck. She cost the team the gold medal.
I think pissed off is an understatement. I was just so mad at myself because I knew I could do better than that.
Alicia walked away from gymnastics. Now she walks back. For Chelsea Memel, her Olympic dreams were over before they could even begin. The team depended on her for all 4 events, but 2 days after arriving, she suffered a broken ankle. Competing on bars was all she could manage. At 20, she said the Beijing Olympics would be her last. Things have changed.
I wasn't able to contribute as much as I wanted. That was really disappointing to me. So I decided to just take a break.
In Beijing, the gold medal seemed like destiny for Shawn Johnson. But in the end, the only gold around her neck was earned on the balance beam.
I had trained my whole life for the all-around. I wanted it quite a bit. It's what I lived for.
She will never say her performance in Beijing was a disappointment, but it wasn't the result she had dreamed of. They each had to leave the sport to realize just how much they truly loved it. But love can only carry you so far. Now they're all back, and that is never easy. There are others who believe that that was their time and that this is theirs. Tonight, a national champion is crowned, and London becomes one step closer. Sports presents live coverage of the, and she's got a very significant 1.85 lead over Massachusetts native Alexandra Raisman. And then there's Chelsea Memel flirting with the podium, perhaps 2.5 back. Rebecca Bross, the defending national champion, had some stumbles on the balance beam that we'll get a chance to recap in a moment. But we're going to start things off by talking about Jordyn Wieber, who amazingly at the age of 16 has already won the most prestigious American international event, the American Cup, twice.
Yeah, the last one, she actually defeated the reigning world champion, Mustafina, from Russia. So this kid has some credentials. She won that meet the first time when she was just 13 years old as a junior.
As far as the Olympics go, Elfie, and that's everything in this world, she's at a pretty good age for that.
Absolutely. And Jordyn, you have to think she's a shoo-in, but you know, we're still a year out to the Olympic Games, and there's a lot of gymnastics down the road, but this is one young lady who could very well be the leader of that team.
So a lot of stories here. How they intersect is anyone's guess. But the first major thing is going to come out of this competition, and that will be a selection of the team that will represent the United States in October at the World Championships in Tokyo.
And, you know, really, for that selection, unless Jordyn Wieber has an injury, a sickness, that she's going to be on that team. There's no question about it. She is strong on all of the events, all 4 of them, and really has, in my opinion, she's already earned that. As long as things don't go wrong, she's not just playing for an airline ticket. She's, in my opinion, playing for a world championship all-around medal.
And she was the absolute best on this apparatus on night 1.
through
That was a great start
Fantastic.
for Jordan Weaver. Wow.
She actually looked like she was enjoying herself.
Yeah, she did.
That's the nice part about it. She has an amazing look on her face. Not only the difficulty, it's there, but she just looks like she's having a great time. She's into the exercise.
Coach, we just saw right there. John Geddard said that she is in tremendous shape. She said she looks like a piece of chiseled steel.
From Needham, Massachusetts, 17-year-old Alexandra Raisman. She's in second place right now. She just saw that happen right in front of her. She's just a few feet away at the takeoff for the vault.
And Ali's a rock. What she does so well is she is consistent. Marta loves that quality about her.
And that was great. That was great. She's actually capable of doing a harder vault, adding a half twist to it, but that's about as clean a vault as you can see, and a great landing on it.
And I think the decision was made back on night one. They didn't want to risk any injury. She had been having a little bit of a problem on the landing, and they just decided, hey, let's get through this one. Keep it safe.
Weaver's floor exercise at 15.0, and so far it's only 2 routines, but what a difference from night one.
Unbelievable. Yeah, night one, it was all over the place. Very messy, lots and lots of falls. Probably the worst Visa Championships I've ever seen, but so far, 2 up and out of the blocks. Great routines.
Check in on the uneven bars, and here's a unique young lady. She's 23, one of UCLA's best. And she's trying to really gain her first major spot for international exposure. Anna Lee.
And she has a very good shot, and it is really 100% about this piece of apparatus. Doesn't matter what else she does. She's only going to do the balance beam, but she earns a ticket to the world because she is so great on the uneven bars. Beautiful transition.
And this is one of the events where the United States is a little bit weak.
And that is a very big error. And what it's going to come into play here is endurance, because her routine is so long. And now she's added a few different skills.
Fought through.
Well, that was good. That was really good, but it wasn't great. I think she could have done herself a real solid if she was able to go 2 in a row, night 1 and night 2 on bars.
Now Rebecca Bras from the same gym in Plano, Texas that gave us the last 2 Olympic gold medalists, but Rebecca Bras, the reigning national champion, had some problems on night 1.
Yeah, actually 2 problems. That was the first one, totally unexpected. And right here on the dismount.
That one wasn't unexpected, though. We've been here watching her all week long in St. Paul, and she has really had a tough time with that. Just a couple moments ago, though, she looked good on the dismount. We did see her fall on one of her skills in the timed warm-up just moments ago.
Well, she's going to leap her way right up on the balance beam and get things started right off the top. Big test coming up. First major skill.
And this is where she fell in the warm-ups, right here. Oh, that right foot was 7/8 off the balance beam.
I think it's important to note that Rebecca has not competed in a competition since last year's World Championships.
And you know, she had a broken bone in her foot at those World Championships. She had that the entire time. And she came home with 4 world medals. This is about as tough of a kid as you're ever going to see. This has been tricky all week for her as well. Dead on.
She is on, you know, the day after the first night of competition, after those falls, she was back in the gym training full sets on this apparatus, and she didn't miss. It's paying off.
This has been the challenge all week.
Oh, jeez. And it continues to be.
Oh, but you know what? That one was better. Oh, she had a little bit more height. She kind of kicked out her body a little bit sooner on that. And
It's a blind landing. It's a tough landing.
what she's been doing all week long is landing in these big, deep squats, and they're scary. And that one, she kind of went the other extreme. Coach Valeri Lukin, of course, coach and dad of Olympic all-around champion Nastia Lukin.
And you know, Rebecca is really tough on herself.
Watch her right foot. Look at that. It's almost completely off the beam.
It's like, no way, not tonight.
That's called strong toes.
And Tim, how many of these have we watched her do all week long?
Look at the landing, though. She really just locks those legs out when she lands, and it pushes her hips backwards. And that's disappointing.
So damage control again for Rebecca Bras. Aly Raisman got a 15.1 for her vault. Anna Leigh way down to 14.4. Now that's not going to get it done. Here's Michaela Maroney, who lives in beautiful Laguna Niguel, California. Making the World Championship team would be a career first and a huge deal.
And where she makes this team is on this event right here. Her vault, we just saw Aly Raisman do a vault that has a maximum score of a 15.8. Now, everybody all over the world is chasing what they call the Amanar after a great Romanian gymnast, and that vault has a maximum score of 16.5. Most teams in the world don't even have one athlete that are capable of doing it. This young lady, not just capable of doing that vault, but in my opinion, I've never seen anybody do it better than she does.
I was going to say Aliyah Mustafanov from Russia, who won the World Championships last year, set the stage. That's the vault she's performing.
Yeah,
This young
she does
lady,
it better, though.
absolutely. I have never seen such great consistency like from her.
Rebecca Bras, 14.35. Now the podium's in jeopardy.
What she does so well is she makes perfect contact with the table, and she rebounds off of it.
Instinctive. She just knows each time out where that floor is.
Oh, golly, that was fantastic. Coach Arthur Akopian, one of the greatest vaulters of all time, a world champion himself for the Soviet Union. He's got to say, I used to be able to do that.
But it's the form, the execution. Look how straight she is. Look how clean this vault is. And the most important thing, we always talk about the landing. That's a huge vault.
Yeah, there is nobody in the world right now that does that vault. Just watch her legs. See them paced together. It gets a little bit messy when everybody else is doing this, but not this one. And look at that. Right on that line is exactly where she wants to be.
To the uneven bars, and this we know, the Kwakwado Gymnastics DNA is powerful stuff. As Bridget follows in her sister Mackenzie's career. Mackenzie was with the U.S. World Championship team last year that won silver. She goes to Florida. Bridget wants to be on the World Championship team, and guess what?
She wants to go to Florida.
Also.
Well, she has a huge bar set, one of the top start values in this competition. 3 big release skills we're looking for.
Very nice. She's great, but she battles, and oh wow, she doesn't have her hand. Her grip was caught on the bar.
This bar routine is so fantastic, but she cannot put it together.
This is a bit of a disaster here. Very close on that release. What happened was the bottom of her grip, not even on her hand, but on her wrist, was caught on the bar.
Such a shame, isn't it?
Had to take an extra swing, and then after that, she does a couple extra things that were not in the plan.
7th coming in. That's not going to help that, but they are not going to throw a lot of 16s around tonight. Michaela Maroney, 16.
Well deserved.
That is gigantic.
The way the draw has been set up, we still haven't seen Alicia Sacramone. We haven't seen Shawn Johnson. We haven't seen Chelsea Memel. That all changes next when we come back live to St. Paul, Minnesota and the Visa Championships. to see Alicia Sacramone, then Chelsea Memmel, then Shawn Johnson. And Alicia Sacramone's got 2 vaults up her sleeve today, so to speak.
The reason that Alicia is doing 2 vaults is because at a major championships like a world or an Olympic Games, you have to show both of those vaults as you see the Olympic rings. To win an Olympic medal on vaulting, you have to do 2 vaults, and they have to be from different families. That means they have to be different. One of them, she's going to do what's called a round off onto the board. That'll be the second one. And the first one, she'll jump over facing forwards.
And she is all about power.
That's a great vault. It's a great vault, and you know what? That looked closer to me to a stick. It just really looked like she was going to get that one and then had to take that step back.
Tim, she is not going to compete on the uneven bars. Where then does she fit in the USA plans going forward?
Oh, she fits in extremely well because she just won the Worlds on vaulting, so she's a huge asset there. She's also a veteran of the sport. Yeah, she had some struggles at the Olympic Games, but a year before, in 2007, she was actually the person that rallied the troops going into the last event. The Chinese had done floor exercise, and she got the group together and said, we can do this, and they ended up on top.
And since the Classic, Alicia has added floor exercise. She says, I'm just going to better my chances having 3 events. Marta knows she can rely on me. Anytime I get the call, I'm ready to go.
First vault, 15.8. That's very, very good. She's got a very cool personality. If you're having a party, she probably gets invited.
You got to put her vault number up there.
She had to do it.
A very, very good score.
And 9.5 for the execution. That's key. If she can stick it, that'll go up.
So this one is that half turn onto the board, Yurchenko style. Oh! That was a little bit low for her. Typically does that vault with a surplus of power. A little bit under-rotated on that. Coach Mihai Brestjan goes over some of the finer details, but just doesn't get as big of a block or a jump off of her arms right there. And I really think she was trying to stick these vaults. She's usually over on both of them and trying to come in with a better body position and not take that step. That's really the only thing that Alicia needs to get a little bit more consistent on.
And of course, she'll incur some deductions, stepping over the line, her chest being low to the ground, but she has the vaults.
And you know, the important thing is the vault that will get her on the team is different than the vault that'll win her a medal. The vault that gets her on the team is the first vault. They're not even going to look at that one to get her on the team.
So that's our look at Alicia Sacramone. In a few minutes, we will see Shawn Johnson. She's coming back from a knee that included ACL reconstruction. Those are dirty words for any athlete. Sacramone's second vault was a 14.4. And just like Alicia Sacramone, Chelsea Memmel's been on the scene for more than a decade. Still coached by her dad. Remember when she did that last event in Beijing? We all said that's it. That's what she said.
Well, that's what she said too. You know,
been away from competition for 3 years. 3 years. She put on a clinic the other day. She has mental toughness like no other. It's just absolutely incredible because you cannot teach someone to compete the way that Chelsea Memmel competes.
All you need to know is she gave what she could in those Olympic Games on a broken foot.
Yeah, we're going to say it all day long. She is about as tough as you can get, and she's not just doing 2 routines. She is doing the all-around. She came into this competition in 3rd place in the all-around.
And she's not even at her best yet. She still has plenty to give, plenty to add. She's taking it very slowly. She is not rushing the process. She said, it's only 2011. I have all next year. I have to be smart about it.
She's had some bad Olympic luck with those injuries.
Yeah, about as bad as it can get. She was a world champion when she was 15 years old on the uneven bars in 2003. Had a leg injury, took her out of 2004, and then does make the Olympic team in 2008. And as we said, a couple days before the event starts, she breaks a bone in her foot again.
She won this event on night 1, scored a 15.25. When I say won, she was the top scorer. A lot of intricate skills in this exercise.
And the first big one comes here, and it's a combination. She'll do a front flip with a half and then keep going.
Big time. Takes her time.
Yeah, she's calm. She's calm, and she doesn't ever panic.
Thoughtful, exact.
Big one right here. Arabian front.
Wow. This is a skill coming up that she's known for. Very risky. An illusion turn. A little bit of a check. Connections are all there. One last piece of gymnastics, her dismount. Consistency, wow. She's a tough, tough athlete.
Dad and Coach Andy Memel, about as nice a guy as you'll ever meet. But I'll tell you, he himself marvels at Chelsea and her ability to focus and concentrate and not block everything else out.
Shawn Johnson on the vault.
This was one of the areas where Shawn commented after the first day of competition. She was absolutely thrilled that she performed this vault and stood it up, did it as well as she did.
You see that left knee taped. Really, where Shawn has the biggest trouble is on her run. Sometimes she doesn't look like she is able to generate enough speed. But this is better than night 1.
She is just getting better and better with every workout competition.
Actually twisted a little bit early off the table night 1. This was a little bit better. She was able to block her body up in the air. Ends up taking a pretty large step, but I like that one a lot better.
Ultimately, we all have to answer the question, how old is too old? For most, it's 65. Maybe if you're a baseball player, 35. Here, 21, 22, 19. It's an unnaturally young age to have to answer that question, but that's what's happening.
Now this vault is valued out of 5.8, considerably lower than what we'll see from Jordyn Wieber. A little bit offside.
Yeah, she travels to the side. That'll be only a 1/10 of a point. If she landed on the other side of that white line, it would have been a more severe deduction.
Definitely a spring to the step of Shawn Johnson. We've concluded the first rotation. We'll check the standings after this, live in St. Paul. It's a cool game being displayed so far here in St. Paul, Minnesota by the 16-year-old from Michigan, Jordyn Wieber. She still has the lead after the first rotation, but she gave away a 10th to Alexandra Raisman. Michaela Maroney slides in front of Chelsea Memel, who had a 14.75. Shawn Johnson not involved here, not in the all-around, not on floor exercise. A 14.55 on the vault for her. Welcome back, Al Trautwig, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Andrea Joyce, who we'll hear from in a moment. So we will have most likely a new national champion here tonight, but bigger picture, we're also going to get a world championship team out of this competition that will represent the United States in Tokyo in October. What's that team going to look like and be made up of?
Well, you know, there are going to be some all-arounders that are certainly going to be on that team. At this point, Jordyn Wieber, she would really have to get hurt to not be on that team. And then you got someone like Rebecca Bross. She has struggled here, but she is a veteran. I can't imagine a team not consisting of her. But also there are some specialists that are going to make it in there because of their great events.
And Aly Raisman is one of those other athletes, because at this point in time, with the problems that happened on night one, I think Marta is really focused on this young lady, because she does what Aly Raisman does so well, and that is just go in, do your routines, be consistent, hit. You need a little bit of that mix on your team as well.
Really interesting to see what Marta Karolyi does with the big three, too. Now, we're going to go to our leader in a moment. That is Jordyn Wieber. And if you want to answer the question about how competitive she is, let's get an answer from Andrea Joyce.
Very competitive. You know, Al, this may be her very first senior nationals, but Jordyn Wieber has been showing an incredibly fierce competitive streak for a very long time. We take you all the way back to 2002, second grade, DeWitt, Michigan, the President's Physical Fitness Challenge. Remember that? Well, little Jordyn went out there and did more push-ups than anybody, girls or boys. She did 125 of them, broke the record. And the funny thing is that she remembers it like it was yesterday. I asked her what on earth would possess a 7-year-old to do something like that. She just got this big grin and said, I just really wanted to win. Some things you just can't teach, right, Al?
Yes, that's right. Certainly when you take on the best from Russia and win, as she did in the American Cup earlier this year, that shows you something.
There's no question about it, and this is a great event for her. She's an all-around gymnast that also can pull off that 16.5 vault called an Amanar. Very, very good.
Remember, this vault is worth a 6.5.
Just the step on the landing, that's about as clean and well done as I've seen her do.
So when you say 6.5, that means with a 10 execution, the best she could get is 16.5.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And there is the selection committee right in the middle. Of course, Marta Karolyi, Steve Rybecki also on that committee, as well as former, well, she was the Olympic champion in 2008. We don't know if it's former at this point in time. Nastia Liukin, of course.
We are scheduled to talk to Nastia Liukin a little bit later. On the uneven bars, Alexandra Raisman. What fun it was at the American Cup when essentially she had that home game. Just missed winning, but that was in Worcester, Massachusetts, so that was fun.
So this is one of the events that isn't really Aly's strength, but she continues to train and compete and not give it up, because she is an all-around gymnast. But it might be an area where Marta Karolyi says, yeah, we're not going to put you on this event for the World Championships, but she's a backup.
She's actually increased her difficulty. Needs to clean up just a little bit, but that was a very solid set for Aly Raisman.
Very quiet, going through the motions.
I tried to get this year. Second part was way better.
Talk about how important the mental component is as she kind of takes that big breath afterwards there. But she has displayed from the very beginning of her senior career that she is one that can handle it.
This is Mackenzie Kakwato from Illinois on the U.S. World Championship team last year. I can tell you that Wieber got a 15.95. Nicely done there.
Mackenzie, of course, is going to be a sophomore at the University of Florida.
Yeah, that is a very big number. 15.95.
She'll take it.
Yeah, we saw 1:15.8 from Alicia. We also saw that 16.0 on the vault from Maroney.
Couldn't she be Shawn Johnson's sister?
It's amazing, right?
But what's important for Mackenzie on this event is it's not a high start value event for Mackenzie. She just needs to hit her routine, show consistency.
Talking about who's going to comprise that world team, and in a lot of ways it's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, because you're going to have your veterans, your stars, and then you're going to have places where the team needs to be helped out, and one of them is the uneven bars, and that's a place where this young lady can shine. But As we've said over and over again, Marta Karolyi likes to have a lot of choices, and a strong all-around performer like Mackenzie is capable of putting out is very attractive.
She is doing everything that she's being asked to do on this event. And by the way, she hit her bar routine. Already has that one completed. This is a great set.
A little bit weak on the dismount, but a very, very solid routine. Coach Johnny Wu, herself an Olympian, along with her husband, who also coached her from 1984.
Back to Rebecca Bross, and you always wonder, is there an emotional carryover from one routine to the next? But at this level, it just can't be.
You know, if there was a highlight from the first night of competition, it was the floor exercise, interestingly. This was an event where she really, really came through. Just snuck that one in. You know, Marta Karolyi said it best. She said what Rebecca needs to do tonight is get back to her old self. It's not about winning the national title.
Another very strong floor routine, though. Night one, she was second with a 14.85 to Jordan Weber's 14.9.
I can tell you Kekwato got a 14.05 and Raisman got a 13.95. When we come back, we'll hear from Shawn Johnson. We'll see her as well, but she'll explain what has happened to her in the 3 years since Beijing, as that team reunited for the first time since here in St. Paul. Whether she can ever land on that knee, not thinking about it ever again.
Well, you know, at the CoverGirl, the qualifying meet for this championships, she took this fall. This is her first event, first time in 3 years back to competition, and she had tweaked her knee, and she said that she just was so afraid that she was going to hurt it again. She wanted to lock out on that landing. It wasn't good, wasn't pretty. But 3 weeks later, she already looks like a different person. A lot more like the Shawn Johnson that we remember. You see perfect body landing position, chest upright, absorbing throughout her entire body through her legs.
And what struck me is Shawn notes that, you know, I'm not the same person that I was in 2008. People expect that of me, but what she hoped she did on night one of these Visa Championships is erase all the naysayers that were, oh, no, she's not going to make it. And I think she did.
Here's a young lady to root for. This is Gabrielle Douglas from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Her dad is in Afghanistan for a third Middle Eastern tour, and he's hopefully found a way to watch his daughter perform here. Mom and sister, and you can tell the t-shirt says it all. I am Gabrielle's sister.
And I believe she's the one that told her mom, hey, you need to get this girl into gymnastics. She looks like a gymnast. I watch him on TV. She looks like that.
Gabby, of course, trains alongside Shawn Johnson, and this event is big for her. This is what she's known for.
There's her coach, Chao Liang. Also Sean's coach. They train together. And that was much nicer. As we're going to say, the U.S. is weak on the uneven bars. It's really where they gave up a ton to China in 2008. And this little one right here.
That's what she wanted to show Marta.
Can get the job done. It was not like that at all. Night one. I talked to Chao Liang right before the competition. I said, is she a little less nervous? And he grins like he always does, and he goes, I hope so.
Nice to see.
Nice knees and toes. A little bit past on that handstand, but right into this full twisting double somersault to step forward, but a huge step forward in performance.
Family liked it. She said after the 2010 Pan American Games, she wanted to go big. She wanted to wow everyone. Maybe she did that for Marta. Okay, not bad.
Is that what it sounded like, Tim?
Yeah. Well, really, in a lot of ways, tonight has been the polar opposite of what we saw day one. It was so messy, and she was part of that. She looked frazzled and frantic, but so far, this has been what Team USA has looked like.
Marta said what she was going to find out tonight is who has the solid head and who has the butterflies.
I guess, Elfie, as you look at Liang Chao, who's a busy man at an event like this, the U.S. selection committee has to decide. Young with some veterans, totally young with a year from the Olympics to get ready, or really rely heavily on the experience.
And there's just a little bit of room at these World Championships because it is a 6-athlete team, unlike London next year, where they go to the chopping board and take away one spot. There will only be 5 members on that U.S. Olympic team. So that's a very good question. I think the puzzle is slowly coming together for Marta and the rest of the selection committee.
And Gabrielle Douglas gets a 14.9.
And that is a very, very big number and will serve her well. It's a complete turnaround from night one where she was not good there.
Shawn Johnson is not figuring in the all-around national championship that comes here at the Visa Championships. She's only performing on 3 of the 4 apparatus. Alexandra Raisman has taken a big scoring hit in this second rotation, and Jordyn Wieber's lead looks like it's going to survive easily into the third.
Combination right into her release, very nice.
This is what Shawn does so well. She's very neat and clean.
Awesome. Dismount, remember, this is where she struggled at the cover girl. Not night one and not night 2.
Boy, shades of Shawn Johnson of old coming back in a big way.
But Elfie, you heard she doesn't want to be the Shawn Johnson of old.
Well, she wants to be a little bit like the Shawn Johnson of old. Let me assure you of that. Because that Shawn Johnson was one of the toughest competitors you'd ever see. The bigger the moment, Shawn Johnson got bigger and better.
We used to just put our pen down and watch Shawn's performances. We somehow knew she was always going to hit.
But a lot of pressure on that knee coming down, and that one looked like it withstood it just fine.
It's an amazing thing. They take a tendon from somewhere in your leg and they put it where the ligament used to be, and then the body, cell by cell, tells that tendon to become a ligament. And it's
crazy.
A little mind-blowing when you think about it. Back to Chelsea Memel floor exercise. 4th place after the first rotation. She started the night in 3rd.
Chelsea said when she made her comeback, they were debating whether or not to have a new routine or not. And she said, hey, listen, if I'm making a comeback, I'm going big. I want something new, nothing old. It's all out. There is some huge tumbling in this routine.
Primarily, she said she did not have the Olympic experience she hoped for. She was not able to help the team as much as she wanted. That has been behind this comeback.
She says she loves her new floor routine.
That big smile was all you needed to see. We get set to move on as Shawn Johnson's score is a 14.25. We're heading toward crowning a national champion here tonight in St. Paul. Where does Nastia Liukin fit into all these plans? We'll find out next. So far, as we bring you back live to St. Paul, Minnesota, it has been 16-year-old Jordyn Wieber and everybody else. Her lead is 3.75. That's huge. Meanwhile, Michaela Maroney and Chelsea Memel are even, and that, of course, would be decided top three podium finish there. Not included in the standing Shawn Johnson or Alicia Sacramone because they're not competing in the all-around. Now, Chelsea Memel, our comeback girl leadoff story here, improved by 7/10 from night one on the floor exercise. And Alicia Sacramone and Shawn Johnson are trying to factor into Marta Karolyi's plans for the World Championships in October. Now, this team that represented the United States in Beijing reunited here in St. Paul for the first time, and Shawn Johnson tweeted this week that it was weird. Another teammate who's thinking about the future, Nastia Liukin. She's with Andrea Joyce.
Al, so many memories rushing back as you watch those 2008 Olympians out here competing. Nastia, what about you? Do you miss being out there?
Oh, I definitely miss it. It definitely, makes me have some fire inside of me, and it's just so incredible to see three of my teammates back out there on the floor.
As you watch them, you have not closed the door on the possibility of yourself coming back. As you watch them compete, are you feeling a little bit of a nudge in that direction, a little bit of an itch?
Yes, definitely feeling an itch, and like I said, it's just so exciting to be able to see three of my Olympic teammates out there, and definitely have some fire inside of me.
London, less than a year away. You know, in this sport, it's all about the numbers and the repetition. Do you feel like you have to make a decision soon, and is there time?
That's all I'm going to say about myself. The decision that we do have to make, though, is I'm on the selection committee now, so to make that world team.
Huge responsibility. Who have you liked out there?
There's so many girls out there this year, and I think that's so exciting for Team USA to send out there and really vie for that gold medal as a team.
Have there been any surprises for you? Anybody you've looked at and said, wow?
Jordyn Wieber, obviously. It's her first year at the senior national championships, and she's came out here and proved that she's the one to beat.
You've got a big job. I better let you get back out there and start watching everybody. Good luck with whatever you decide.
Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, Andrea, you're looking at the leader, and it's by a lot. Jordyn Wieber from Michigan. We'll see how she holds up, knowing that she has a cushion like that in St. Paul after this. But right now, the business is gymnastics, and the 2011 Women's Visa championships, St. Paul, Minnesota. Al Troutwig, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, Andrea Joyce. Here's Michaela Maroney. And we'll be talking a little bit later who's gone up and who's gone down. But you've had some nice things to say about her tonight.
Well, she was fantastic on her first event, the vault, 16.0, just a huge number, best so far. And then she went to bars where she wasn't so great night one and did a very clean exercise. So there's been a lot of turnaround from day one to day two. Everybody looked very jittery. They've looked a lot better here tonight.
And Michaela is beautiful on this apparatus. She has great artistry. The question is, can she stay on? Like a completely different gymnast out there tonight. A couple of little balance checks, but this is going all very well for her.
Very nice.
We spoke with Michaela earlier in the week. We were so impressed by her confidence. We asked her what it was like competing in the senior division. She said, oh, I feel like I've been doing this my whole life.
Dismount. Well, a very strong exercise. Just a couple of tiny little balance checks. But overall, a very strong routine.
That'll be an improvement from her 13.4.
Without a doubt, it will surpass that. Galina Marinova, one of her coaches, great Bulgarian gymnast.
Well, it's the apparatus where dreams die, isn't it?
Yeah, it can oftentimes be. This her dismount, or round off double backflip, nice height in the air. Just watch that step. Now you see, if it's bigger or longer than a shoulder width apart, it is 0.3 of a point deduction. Marta likes it. We talked to Marta about day one, and she said yes, it was bad. I would sound stupid if I said it wasn't, but she said I'm not panicking. With these athletes, they're not supposed to be ready at this point. This is part of their preparation. We pushed them to raise their start values, and this is the very beginning of preparation for the world.
But she was surprised with the number of falls. That she admits to.
And at the dreaded beam in a moment is going to be Alicia Sacramone. She had something, I found it sort of funny this week. She was saying that after that fateful fall in Beijing that hurt the gold medal chances of Team USA so much, she walked past and Nastia Liukin was set to go, and she looked at her and said, Nastia, you handle it.
Yeah. And you know, Alicia is doing the exact same mount. She has been very consistent, I have to say.
Now, Tim, you did this yesterday when you were coaching your fine gymnast from Longmeadow. Do these last-minute conversations really help?
Yeah, you know, for some kids, you have to know the athlete. Some kids thrive on that. They need that. They want somebody just standing next to them till the last moment. And others, if you do that, you're getting in their bubble and it's bad news. But, you know, Mihai knows this athlete and she knows Mihai. I'm sure she wants that at that point in time.
But she's going to start off by staring down that beam from the end with that powerful mount. And when she gets up on this beam, I tell you, it's incredibly aggressive. She's become a top beam lifter.
Oh, whoa, that was close. Very nice. Alicia has said when you think about your dreams coming true, you don't envision a mistake. And that has been the fuel for this comeback. She repeatedly says it. that it is about redemption.
And when she is on, she doesn't waver. A little bit of a check there. This is an event that she sees herself contributing once again at the World Championships for the American team.
The thing that I like about this routine so far, she has had those small little checks, but it hasn't made her frantic in any way. Able to deal with it.
She does.
Big dismount landing right, I think, right before the bell, so I think she should be safe from too long of a routine deduction.
Two down, one to go.
So watch this famous mount, the same one she did in Beijing, and she is off to the right. You see that foot barely on the beam, but in gymnastics, you got some powerful toes. Look at that, it is just somehow squeeze and crack walnuts with those suckers.
Yeah, those toes do a lot of work. And the dismount.
A little bit off to the side here as well.
But a nice combination into that double pike.
Elfie, you have to do a lot of falling off to learn how to do that with your toes, don't you?
Believe me.
Our first look at Sabrina Vega from Carmel, New York, just north of New York City.
She's also a first-year senior, but she says that, you know, the way USA Gymnastics structures it right now, she says, I've felt like a senior last year, so it's no transition for me. That foot was into white, which means it'll be a 10th of a point.
I like this young lady. I love the exercise. Great choreography. Much better routine.
That's great, you know, at the end of a routine when you see a smile, and that was a real one. That was a grateful I'm done, and I did good.
14.9 for Alicia Sacramone. That's 3/10 less than she did on night one. Now to Chelsea Memel, who was tied for third, and I would think that finishing on the podium here, Elfie, would be the next logical step to proving that she deserves to be part of the conversation.
She should be, but on this event, Vault, this is not a strong event for Chelsea. She's still making her way back. This is easy for her. Taking baby steps in this comeback. This one, she says she needs a little bit more time.
Yeah, that vault compared to like a Jordan Weaver, that is 1.5 less in start value. The maximum she can get is 15.0.
Thanks.
Jordan Weaver, Michaela Maroney, their vaults start at a 16.5. Chelsea is capable of doing a 15.8 vault. She says that it's just not there yet. And her dad has said repeatedly, I am not going to push this kid to the point that she has another injury. He says, I could not live with myself if I had done that.
And realistically, should Chelsea make the World Championship team, I doubt this would be an event that Marta Karolyi would put her on. She shouldn't.
We'll get Chelsea Memel score in a moment. I can tell you Sabrina Vega got a 14.5 on her floor exercise. When we come back, the big-time leader, Jordyn Wieber, shows us how she handles that big lead she's got in St. Paul. A year ago at the Visa Championships, Jordyn Wieber's story was largely one of injury. Here she is feeling a lot better and even feeling good. She still has a bandage on her right ankle. Uneven bars, up by a lot.
And she crashed the first day of training out on the podium.
Scary one.
Big time on this event.
She's upgraded her routine since the American Cup, which took place in March of this year.
It was that skill that she had a fluke mistake on. Darn near perfect there. Biggs dismount, double twisting, double somersault. And that was better than night one, too.
What are you learning about Jordyn Wieber and the expectations that you have for her here?
Well, I'm learning that it's not just her physicality and her dynamic power. She's also able to deal with the pressure. I mean, every kid, they want a lot of things in gymnastics. They want to win a Visa National Championships as well.
To Shawn Johnson on the balance beam.
Shawn said that after the first night of competition, she felt that she really proved to everyone that she went back to the gym after the classic competition and worked extremely hard. She said that she was able, on the first night of competition, to let go of what everyone was thinking of her, watching her, and become one with the competition. She said that's very important to her.
And you know, just a couple moments ago, as she gets ready, this is a big tumbling pass right here. Her most challenging.
True tumbling.
Wow.
That has been very consistent here.
But just a few moments ago, she watched her teammate, Gabrielle Douglas, who was having a much better night. Day two, just really kind of melt under the pressure and have a huge fall and then another gigantic mistake. And that is an addition. Night one, Marta Karolyi had said, take that out, Shawn. You haven't been making it. Back in the routine. Oh.
A little bit of a balance check. You know, she did the same thing
Yes, she did.
in the first night of competition. There were little checks here and there. Won the gold medal in 2008 on this event, and she said she felt the pressure. She felt that all eyes were on her. Just the dismount.
Wow.
Nice job, Shawn Johnson.
That's one of gymnastics' great faces.
And Shawn says that winning for me is not winning the all-around. It's hitting and being consistent. Well, Shawn Johnson, your definition, you just won.
Now Rebecca Bross on the vault. She's had back-to-back falls off the balance beam on both nights of competition.
This is difficult for Rebecca. She can do it well, but those ankles.
Oh, golly.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh
God.
dear. Oh no.
obviously see the shaking of the head, the resignation. Everybody knows this goes with the territory, and they hate it. Unbelievably hard for a gymnast like Aly Raisman, who is going on with the competition.
Well, they had all the bad things that can happen on a vault. She was under-rotated. She was twisting still as she hit the ground. And as a gymnastics coach and a gymnast, every single person in this arena that is affiliated with gymnastics knows that that can be the deadliest of combinations. An under-rotated, still twisting into the floor landing.
One of the things that Alexandra Raisman is known for is being able to concentrate and focus, and that's going to be tested here.
Big mistake there, grabbing the beam. They are applauding Rebecca being taken off the podium.
It was as if she didn't really care about the overtime bell. She was taking her time, clearly rattled, not her best, but under the circumstances, she did okay.
Yeah, no question about it. She was extremely rattled.
The defending national champion out in a wheelchair here in St. Paul.
You ready for this?
Jordan Weber's lead is insurmountable heading into the fourth rotation. 5.5 points over Michaela Moroney. Then it's Chelsea Memel with Alexandra Raisman right behind. It cost Raisman, at least for now, a top 3 spot. That balance beam routine that required about a minute and a half conversation with her coach, sort of to talk about what emotionally just happened. We have so much sympathy here for Rebecca Bross, Al Troutwig, along with Tim Daggett and Elfie Schlegel. There was no music playing, there was no floor exercise, and so everybody in this building, which is filled with gymnastics parents, just was aghast at what happened.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of in shock. It's, like I said, though, it had all of the worst combinations. That under-rotated landing, and the thing that you just cannot do, you cannot be twisting into the ground Yeah, that's a bad one.
And Elfie, you said right before she went down the runway that this is a difficult vault for Rebecca Bras.
Difficult for her because of all the problems she's been having with her ankles, and you really have to feel for her. She was trying so hard this week. Day one of competition, a trooper trying to get that vault back, doing everything in her power, but oh my goodness.
And then Aly Raisman had to, as they were still attending to Rebecca Bras, mount the balance beam, but she got through it. Back to gymnastics after this.
She is not eligible, age eligible for the Olympic Games. I think she would have certainly been in contention to make that U.S. team for 2012. She'll have to wait 4 years for her chance.
We head to the fourth rotation, watching Alicia Sacramone on the floor.
Had problems in the first night of competition. She actually had a fall.
Changes the pass.
She added floor exercise, said that this would increase her chances of making the world team.
Okay, go put ice and it's fine. Okay?
Go ahead, go put ice on it. All of it.
And that was actually quite good for Alicia. You know, one of the places where she struggles on floor is to stay in bounds. She was able to on all of her tumbling runs. Good job.
So Shawn Johnson is done, Alicia Sacramone is done, and after this, on the uneven bars, Chelsea Memmel will be done.
Chelsea is capable of doing more. She trained a much harder routine than this all week long. Once again, though, Dad said no way. We'll get there. And that is the first mistake.
First mistake.
We have seen Chelsea make. Out of 3 competitions, the qualifier for this, day 1, and now day 2. And that was a very uncharacteristic fall for Chelsea. Just didn't have enough energy going over the bar.
She says bars has been the hardest in her comeback. She has all the parts. She said the conditioning is what has given her some trouble, but as Tim said, that was an easy skill.
Oh my
goodness. Oh dear. She's
And
done.
she's done, yes. I don't know. It's hard to believe, but
Don't you think that has something to do with the injury?
there's absolutely no question.
And yet, Jordan Weber will try to celebrate a national championship. It seems like the natural progression for the 16-year-old.
With my credit card, I get done.
It really challenges your gymnastics memory to think of a time when an athlete went into a final rotation up by 5.5 points. But here is 16-year-old Jordan Weber about to mount the balance beam. And and seal this national championship. She's won 2 American Cups.
There is a lot of action going on in this routine. It is extremely taxing.
And after this performance, both day 1 and day 2, I would say that a lot of people will have Jordyn Wieber as the front runner for the gold medal in the all-around in Tokyo at the World Championships this fall.
The coach, John Geddert, said she's usually a rock, but in the first night of competition, she had to check almost everything. And of course, that's not good enough for him because he's looking beyond. He's looking towards the World Championships. Right here, right near the end of the routine, comes one of her most difficult skills.
Back flip with a full twist, great, and she connects it. Little bit slow there, but she gets high praise from Marta Karolyi.
One more skill left, combination dismount. Oh, wow.
How would you guys describe what she's done to this field here tonight?
Decimated. I mean, she is just so prepared for this competition. She has waited so long. When she was a little kid, a junior, people thought she was the best gymnast in the United States. She had to wait until the birthday said it was okay. This in her first senior year. There is your Visa National Championship. A title that every single one. Oh, and that is not good right there because Chelsea has had some shoulder problems in the past. Has dislocated a shoulder.
As it should be. Jordyn says she couldn't possibly love any other sport, but she loves gymnastics.
You know, I read a comment in one of the local newspapers that they wondered why she wore gold on the first night of competition. Turns out it was the perfect fashion statement to make. Let's go down to Andrea Joyce to find out a little bit more about Rebecca Bross. Andrea?
Well, Al, Rebecca Bross is still in the building. The top priority was to get her knee stabilized, so they've been wrapping it. She's been back in a room with several members of USA Gymnastics and with the Dr. Larry Nasser. So they've been stabilizing that. They're going to take her to the hospital for x-rays. Now, the initial reports are that they do not believe that it's an ACL. They think that she injured her kneecap. I just spoke to her coach, Valery Liukin, and he just said it's not an ACL. At least he doesn't think it is. He said her kneecap, and I said, well, that seems like that would be less serious. Could she come back from something like that? And he said this knee was already weak. She had injured it a couple of years ago, and he said, could she come back? Probably not this year. Back to you guys.
Those are tough words. Probably not this year.
Gosh.
So Alexandra Raisman in 4th place after the 3rd rotation. I thought it was so poignant when she got done on the balance beam and the score knocked her out of the top 3. She stood there with her coach Mihai Brezhcin, and they looked at each other as if to try and decipher what the heck just happened.
Out of bounds. 1/10 of a point.
Rebecca Bross's injury and Alexandra Raceman not being as powerful as we've seen after that, Chelsea Memmel's injury, we're going to have a surprising podium top 3, and it's a battle for second as we wrap things up in St. Paul after this. Alexandra Raceman is right now in second place, but Michaela Maroney could take the silver medal and move ahead of Raceman with a 13.95 here on the floor exercise that will bring this competition to a close.
She should be able to do that.
She scored a 13.65 day 1. Well, a very nice job there for Michaela, not just on floor, but all day long. A much better performance than we saw day 1.
So we will have to wait and process that number and see what color medal it's going to be for Michaela Maroney. Meanwhile, interesting conversation to come with Shawn Johnson and our new champion, Jordyn Wieber. Here's Andrea Joyce.
You know, Al, Jordyn had told us the other day that she is a little bit of a scoreboard watcher. So watching this competition, I mean, you really ran away with it. What was that like for you to be competing out there? I mean, did it relax you a little bit? I mean, you were just rock solid.
Well, I definitely didn't focus on the scores too much. I still wanted to go out and do my best and improve from Thursday. And, you know, I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad it turned out good.
You went to the Olympic trials in Philadelphia in 2008 to watch. What did you learn from that? What mental notes did you take that you think is going to help you through this pressure-packed year?
I definitely watched other older girls and saw how confident they were when they competed, and saw how aggressive they were, and I tried to put that in my own routines too.
I know that you're out here and you're in a zone and you're competing, and as I said, you were solid, but as you see something like what happened to Rebecca Bross, how difficult was it for everyone out here to keep going? I mean, there was just a complete hush in this crowd.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to see one of our very own teammates get hurt like that, and it's so sad, but you know, personally, we just have to stay focused and compete for our team and stay strong.
Congratulations on your first senior national title, and the last time that Shawn Johnson was competing at these nationals in 2008, you won the title. How different was this experience for you?
It's a little bit different, but I have to start somewhere. I'm on the road to the comeback, and my biggest goal is next year, but it feels great. I made a huge improvement from classics, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, you said, you know, I'm not the same old Shawn Johnson, but we saw a lot of flashes of the old Shawn Johnson. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
It is a good thing. You know, to have that, you know, girl that I was in 2008 still there is what I want. But I've matured, I've grown up, I'm doing a little different gymnastics, so I want to be the new Shawn this time.
We know that you take this seriously, and we know that now, after what you did here, there are plenty of other folks who are probably taking it seriously as well, the comeback. Do you think you did enough to possibly put yourself on the world team?
My coach was just kind of joking about that a few minutes ago, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, I don't know. I don't want to, you know, think that way yet. I'm just going to stick with it and go to training camp and hopefully, you know, just do whatever is best for the team.
It's really fun to see you back out there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Al?
Okay, Andrea, now the final results, and Michaela Maroney gets a score good enough to move past Alexandra Raisman. It's by a lot. It's almost 0.6 of a point. So gold and a first ever senior national championship to the 16-year-old from Michigan. Then it's Michaela Maroney. Then it's Alexandra Raisman. And after that, Mackenzie Caquato and Sabrina Vega. But you can watch a lot of gymnastics and not see someone win by 6.15 points. Quick final thought. What's the process now, Tim, to get this team to represent the United States?
Well, the first process, if I were running this thing, I would have a session on dealing with Rebecca Bross, because every single athlete and coach in this building, they all saw it, like you said, and that is a devastating blow to Team USA. They first got to get together on that, wrap their arms around it, understand that they still have a strong enough team to vie for any color medal at the World Championships, but they got to get their heads around that first.
But there's another step, Tim and Al, and they have to go to the verification camp, which will take place in Texas under the watchful eye of Marta Caroli. That will be a process. That will be intense, and it will be very difficult. That's where the team will be selected.
Those World Championships will be in Tokyo, Japan, and we'll have coverage on Universal Sports and NBC Sports. So Alicia Sacramone walked out of the building with a slight limp. Looks like she's okay. Chelsea Memmel with ice on her shoulder. And of course the story with Rebecca Bross includes a feel better kid. Tomorrow the men are in competition at the Visa Championships at 4:30 Eastern on NBC. Sunday Night Football is back. Tony Romo and the Cowboys take on the Chargers tomorrow night. Then the season begins for real, September 8th, as the defending Super Bowl champion Packers take on the Saints. Coming up next, it's Law & Order SVU. Then at 11:30, 10:30 Central, it's Saturday Night Live, hosted by Anne Hathaway. This is Al Trawick for Elfie Schlegel, Tim Daggett, and Andrea Joyce. Congratulations to Jordan